5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour.
Welcome aboard. I'm your host, Star, and this is Interstellar Introspections. Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode. I'm really happy you guys are here this week. It's been an eventful few days. As you guys know, I'm kind of on a recording spree with these episodes, so for me, it's kind of every day, but in your ears, it's going to be every week. So let's get right into this episode. Now, I have exciting news. As you guys heard from last episode, I am having a guest here today. It is my great friend, Selin. Hey, Selin.
Hi, very excited to be here.
Yes, we're very excited to have you. I'm so excited she's here, guys. She's very intelligent. She has a very powerful mind and she knows what she's talking about. So she's gonna agree. She's gonna be giving great conversation today, and that's why I'm so excited to be recording with her. Now, our recording setup is kind of jank. Not gonna lie, we're recording our Zoom meeting because any other platform to kind of record our conversation is not going to be as kind of concrete as Zoom, and meeting in person with our schedules just isn't as easy because we have really busy schedules. So when we do have time together, we like to enjoy it and not really do like work or anything like that. So this is something that Celine's definitely doing as a favor for me, but I'm really grateful that she's here. Thank you so much for being with us, Celine. I hope that you're excited and this is going to be fun for you.
Oh my God, of course. Like you just said, we always conversate about multiple topics. So it's going to be great to actually have it like recorded, not just for us, but like I love podcasts myself. So I feel like our conversation is going to be pretty good.
Yes, I'm so excited. Now, obviously, if you guys have been watching my YouTube channel, you know a little bit about Celine, but I think that it's best for her to kind of give you a mini intro about her. We can go into how we met and everything, but Celine, tell us a little bit just about you.
Okay. So I am 22. I am a student. I am a bio major and I work as a pharmacy technician right now. What else about me? Pretty nothing crazy. I mean, me and you are pretty much not the same person, but our vibes are very alike. So that's
Yeah.
why I think we mesh really well. But we met literally at my place of work.
I'm
And
dead.
it's funny
Literally.
because he came in asking me if we were hiring, and I was like, oh my God, totally, like we're hiring, like apply. And I thought I was gonna see you maybe next week. Months later, there you are standing behind the counter. I was like, oh my God. I was
This
like, you
boy.
actually applied, like you're actually here. Like I couldn't believe it, like months later. And then when you actually left our job, I felt like that's when we had connected. Like we were planning on to hanging out and everything, but then I went through like a breakup, and then we started hanging out more because I had more time, and I found a really good friend in you, and now we're here today. We're on a podcast.
I know, this is iconic.
Literally iconic. Many adventures and YouTube videos later, we're here. Like, wow. I can't
Literally.
believe it.
I know.
Not
And
that I can't
Celine,
believe it, but it's great.
no, it's amazing. And Celine brings out a good point. Like, I lived in Florida, as some of you might know, and I was moving to Jersey. So my job was transferring me to her location. So when I walked in asking if they were like hiring, it's because in a few months I was going to be literally transferring there. So I wanted to make sure that they had an opening. And at the time, the store had been run by like kind of like a crazy manager. But anyway, long story
Let's not even
short,
get
like
into that.
for real, long story short, like Celine said, we ended up clicking, and after I left that job is when we actually ended up hanging out, and now we're just thriving and exploring the world together. And I think it's great when you find someone that has that same ambition about life, because life is so stressful, life is hard, and life is tough. But when you find another person that is as excited about life, it's just that special touch, and I really appreciate that about Celine.
Yeah, and like you said, I really do feel like we are literally like on this. I don't want to be like all weird and spiritual,
I'm
but
done.
like definitely on this adventure together. And I definitely know I have a lifelong friend. I mean, like our
Aw.
conversations are, I mean, amazing. Literally, not only do I learn so much from you, but I feel like just because we don't have the same view on everything, we do have our differences, but I think it's
Mhm.
great. And I feel like our conversations on this podcast, um, that's just gonna be, it's just gonna make it even better because I feel like one-sided, and if I agree with everything you say and you agree with everything I say, I don't think it's going to make for good conversation. So I
Yeah,
feel
it's
like
not going to be
for
as
that reason,
interesting.
no, for that reason, I feel like that's why we're so good together. And I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. Like a lot of people listening probably have that one friend that they're like, I know what you're talking about. Like that me and that person, same thing. And I feel like that's definitely a good friend to have.
100%. And the funny thing is, me and Celine have thought about having a podcast for literally, I mean, we've been friends for about a year and some change. So really
No,
not that long,
no
but
joke. I'm pretty sure maybe like the second or third time we hung out, I literally like we clicked so fast, but like I think we literally were like, oh my God, like we need our own show. People need to hear us. Like
yeah,
our literally when we're together, it's literally a movie. Like the things that happen to us,
we need
that's a
like,
whole nother,
what is it called?
conversation.
A reality show.
I literally can't. Keeping up with, I don't even
The mess.
keeping up with the mess.
But
Literally.
the sad part is obviously like this podcast is right now it's a it's just my podcast because I have a little bit more free time, and like I mentioned, me and Celine don't always have the most cohesive schedule, but don't fret, Celine's going to be a very common reoccurring guest, so this might as well be called The Mess with Us, the Stress. I don't
Literally, our episode should be just called The Mess
know.
with the stress, like you
Thank
just
you for
said,
it.
because I think that's literally our life.
For
Period.
real. But let's get right into today's episode. Enough chitter chatter. I do want to introduce a new segment that Celine kind of inspired me to start. I mentioned the title last week, and it's called Twilight Time. Now, the reason for this is because just like Twilight, it kind of comes right before, right after the beginning of the show, and like right before. I don't know. It kind of makes sense with the meaning of Twilight. I don't really freaking know, but basically, it's just a cute name for this pop culture themed segment of the show, which is basically where we go over pop culture moments that happen throughout the week and kind of dissect them and break them down psychologically. As Celine mentioned, she's a bio major, but it's still a science field, just like I am in a science field, and she has a lot of deep methodical standpoints on things. So I think that the conversations that we bring up in these Twilight Time topics will be very mind provoking for both of us. One of them she picked, one of them I picked. And while we do usually break down topics that go on in pop culture anyway, these are going to be a little bit quicker as much as we can. And they're not going to be they'll be a little bit more current. Some of the pop culture moments that we talk about in our main topics aren't necessarily current, but anyway, that's kind of the gist of what our Twilight times are going to be. Now,
More with today and like what's going on actually like right now is what we'll be talking about. Um, but I feel like what you said before, as in like we usually talk about things that are not so current. Um, but I feel like we'll have a lot of ways to dissect today's pop culture-ish news. I feel like it's going to be a little
100%.
different.
100%. And I feel like me and Celine were born. Everyone's gonna probably disagree with us because I feel like generations are such like a hot topic between like different generations. But I really feel like me and Celine, I don't know about Celine. Celine's a little bit older than me, but really not by much. Me and her are
Not by
basically the
much,
same
please.
age.
We're not doing this. Come on. We're the
um,
same. We're basically the same age. I'm just
I
waiting
know, yeah.
for, you to turn 21 and then we're the same age,
I'm dead. But me and Celine, I like to say our generation's pretty unique. I feel like we kind of experienced millennial and Generation Z. I very much identify more with not Generation Z, sorry, millennials in sense of like their cartoons that they watch and some of like the 90s pop culture moments. So I feel like I could bring that to the table. And Celine definitely has that in her too. But I also know Celine has taught me a lot of things about new age stuff that like, I don't know, I guess I don't get out much that I don't really know about.
Stop. Honestly, I don't even like I don't even want to change the topic of discussion right now because I know, we're on a one track road with what we have to talk about. But like the whole generational thing, like X, Y, all of that, millennial, X, Y, I've never really understood
No,
it
same.
because like even like I've looked it up and I've looked into it, but personally I don't understand. Like I mean I under like they and like baby boomers and all that, like oh, you're such a baby boomer, like can we just dissect that? Because honestly, like, what does that even mean? Like I mean, like who's a baby boomer? Are my parents baby boomers or are my grandparents baby boomers? Like what do we mean by that?
Yeah, it's a very interesting conversation. Honestly, we could spend hours dissecting it, and I think
I really think so
she's like
because
she's like she's like we need to.
like honestly we might need to just take a couple minutes because
I'm dead.
I mean I definitely don't want to be a millennial, even though I don't know what that means. They just have such a bad rep. I'm like, what even is a millennial? Like I don't want to be a millennial. I don't think I am, right?
No, I don't. You might be. No, I don't think you. I don't
I
know.
was born in
That's the thing. I don't
99.
really
I
know.
thought I was Generation X.
See, that's the thing, because some people forget generations. I don't know. Honestly, I really don't know. I would need to do research on this topic because I've been misled in so many different directions. At one point, I was told there's a Generation X, and then another point, I was told that there wasn't. And then, what's funny? Before Generation Z started becoming popular within the last few years, I remember when I was growing up, everybody made fun of millennials and called me a millennial, when now all of a sudden I'm Generation Z. So honestly, I
Yeah,
don't know. This
I,
is
that's what I thought.
exactly. This is something that we could definitely talk about, but as of
Because
right now, I'm gonna need to do more
when older
research on
people
it.
when older people are like, oh, like you're such a millennial, or all these millennials are ruining the country. Oh, the millennials don't
Yeah.
have any. Like, sir, miss, what do you mean these
She said,
millennials?
what do you mean?
I mean, honestly, I don't like labels, and I feel like that is putting a label on people. For what reason? Like, what are you tying me to a generation for? Like, please. But I get what you're saying. You have influences from different times, and so do I. I feel like I don't think you're an old soul, but I definitely feel like you have that perspective almost. Like you can respect like the old. So can I,
Like
but
traditional?
like traditional, like the not old, like not the old. I don't really mean that, but like maybe the way you grew up was a little bit different. Maybe you have influences from
Hmm.
different things that you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
But
I would agree.
I just feel like it's crazy with these whole generational things. I'm like, can we like please?
I'm
I feel
dead.
like a couple years ago, people were even crazier about it. It kind of died down, thank God, because I hated that time on the internet where everyone was like Generation ZY, Generation Millennial, Baby Boomer. No, what do you mean? Anyways,
I'm dead.
let's
I think
digress.
this is a
As we
great
digress,
conversation. And we need to talk about it. And I think it kind of leads into our main topics because, like I said, like because of our kind of middle term generation, we're going to have a lot of different opinions about a lot of recent pop culture moments. And just to kind of skate in the top and scroll down, two kind of events that are really big with me that recently just happened are Nicki Minaj and Doja Cat released some music. I mean, well, not really Doja Cat. Nicki Minaj just released a song with Lil Baby called Do We Have a Problem? As you guys know, I'm obsessed with Nicki Minaj, so I just need to give her a little shout out. And then Doja Cat released her Get Into It. Yep, music video, and I am obsessed. I love that song so much. Now, this
oh,
isn't a pop culture themed podcast, but I just needed to touch on those two topics because I am obsessed with them. Selin, would you like to say anything about those or anything that released or dropped this week that you are excited about?
well, I actually was not aware that Doja Cat's Get Into It was made into. I didn't even know she dropped a music video. I mean, literally that song does things to my body I don't even want to talk about. Like I just feel this jolt, like it's literally serotonin, like just injected into my body. But I didn't know she dropped a music video. Can we period? Doja Cat is literally amazing, beautiful, stunning. She's a trendsetter. Oh my god, I think I'm obsessed with her.
The
Literally, she's
same.
amazing. She's beautiful, like literally. And she got hated on a little bit. I feel like in the beginning, people were like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Because she got a little caught up with certain things
There
that
was
she
a
was saying in
little,
her
there was a
music.
little
And
thing that happened.
yeah, but people didn't know where she was from and who she was. So
Hmm.
there was a little misleading. But I mean, Miss Girl is like really like just out here doing the most. Like she deserves a Grammy. That's all I'm gonna say. Done. But I
Period.
need to watch that video. I didn't watch it. Was it good? Like, was
No,
it?
I will. No, it was amazing. I mean, The
Oh,
ending was kind of cringy. I mean, I understand it because it was a fun music. We all be twerking at the
yeah,
end. I don't want to ruin it for people, so I'm not gonna say what happens. But it was just kind of cringy for me. But I think it was fun. I think it portrayed what it needed to do, which was it's fun. It's just a relaxed type of vibe.
hmm. All
And
right. I'm
to
down with
give you
that.
to give you guys a little insight before we get to the next topic, me and Celine, every time we put on that song, we freaking be twerking in the car. Okay.
No, like please. And that's on that period. The car is literally shaking. Forget us
Freaking
we're in
shaking.
drive, but let me tell you, our booties are in drive too. So that's all I'm gonna say.
Got it. Okay. I'm dead. Okay, bringing it back in, we're gonna get into our first topic, which is Nick Cannon. Now, Celine,
Oh,
this was actually Celine's request for a topic. I always like to ask my guests if they have anything they like to talk about, and this was Celine's number one request, which is very interesting because I did not know she had such an interest in Nick Cannon. Hi guys. So our recording situation kind of abruptly stopped midway, and we had to change locations and stuff. It was just like a mess. So I apologize if the audio sounds weird or anything like that. The change was quite abrupt. So I'm gonna try and start off where we kind of finished, or like at least a point of where we stopped at, which was the start of our conversation on Nick Cannon. Now, what I was saying was how I was going to let Celine explain why she was so interested on this topic. But first, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of backstory on this situation completely. Now, from the information that I gathered, which could be wrong, I'm not, 100% putting a lot of energy into researching this just because I do have a life outside of this. But the information that I did find, I believe, is quite real, and it's the fact that he has given life at some point to eight.
sorry. He has given life.
I don't know how else to phrase that. You know what I mean? Like,
Listen,
it's
this is you did the research, which you found that Nick Cannon himself. Which listen, I watched Nick Cannon. Like he has a show Wild and Out. He does a lot of things. I mean, even growing up, he was always on Nickelodeon stuff like that. So like Nick Cannon like resonated with me a lot. Like growing up, I just saw his face on TV all the time, doing so much, right? And it's like the other day, like a couple weeks ago, I found out this man, I'm sorry, I could be, is it 7 kids that he has?
no, okay. So so he has eight. He had 8 kids. Now he has 7,
Yes.
and you know he lost a child due to, I believe, it was brain cancer.
The baby was like what, 5 months when he passed?
I'm not too sure on the ages, but I do know that he did lose a child, and it was a very upsetting time for him. But recently, he announced that he's having a new kid, and that caused a little bit of controversy. Now, just giving you kind of the breakdown, he has two 10-year-olds. I apologize if I mispronounce any of these names. Moroccan and Monroe, whom he shares with his ex-wife Mariah Carey. He has a 1-year-old powerful queen and a 4-year-old golden, whom he shares with Brittany Bell. He has 7-month-old twins, Zion Mixolydian and Zelion Air, who he shares with Abby De La Rosa. And then his most recent child, he and Alyssa Scott are going to be giving birth to Zen. I'm sorry, Zen is who he lost just 2 months ago from brain cancer.
Now the
I don't.
names, I don't even want to, because I don't want to be very judgmental because people do, name their kids, different things today. We're not really, it's different than what it used to be like. There's not as many common names. Like not everyone is going to be an Ashley, a Nicole, whatever it may be now. Today it's different, which is great. Just one of the things I want to talk about real quick. I mean, Powerful Queen. I mean, that every other name wasn't terrible, but that to me, like, again, I don't want to, this is just how I feel. This is my opinion. People could obviously disagree. They could say, no, that's a great name. In my opinion, that's probably one of the worst names that you can give a child. You're just setting them up for literally self-loathing when they grow up. Like that child will change their name. I'm just saying. That's all.
And why do you feel this way?
Because powerful queen, I mean, like, it's like, first off, it's like two words. Is it powerful, and is queen the middle name, or literally is the first name powerful queen? Like, I have just so many questions, and like, whose idea was that? Why would they do that? Like, what are they gonna call her? P, powerful, like queen? Like, these are not names. Like, it's just kind of like, it's almost like you think that naming a child is a joke. That person will live with that name for the rest of their life. Like, I can't even, my name is Selin, and it's not spelled the proper way. Like, this is just my personal experience, like growing up, like living. I'm a Turkish American, first generation here. So, my parents didn't feel like, think at that time that they needed to, give me maybe like an American name, or they didn't want to not adjust. They didn't want to feel like they needed to give me a name that they needed to give me. Like, they wanted to give me a name that they actually liked. Like, they didn't want to give me an American name so it's easier for the American people to pronounce it. Right? Because first off, that's not how they felt, which is fine. But growing up, I mean, my name was mispronounced every which way, which I just got used to it. And not that powerful queen is, not, you can't pronounce it because it's, two common words in the American language, English language. But it's kind of embarrassing. Like, my name is spelled wrong, and I still am very self-conscious, and I think my name is nice. My name is Selin. I mean, everyone tells me I have such a pretty name. Yeah, it's spelled incorrectly for the American people, but it's actually pronounced Selin, which is a Turkish name. And I mean, I grew up with Selin, and I mean, I would rather, have my name be pronounced the correct way, which is Selin, but not every person can pronounce it that way. So that's just kind of how I grew up. But like, I can't imagine someone trying to call me powerful queen. Like, it's
I
kind of
think
embarrassing.
I think it definitely depends on personal experience. You know what I mean? Now, in every quote that I just researched it just to like double check myself because I don't want to be looking stupid out here. But in almost every quote that they name this girl, they do say powerful queen. Right now, some articles say powerful queen Canon, like her full name. So I don't know if Queen is her middle name, maybe, but I also see articles that say Cannon's daughter, Powerful Queen. So I really don't know if Queen is her middle name or those are both her first name. I personally, I don't have that situation with my name. My name is very common, my real name, that is. And so that's really why I don't like to go by it usually. But I honestly don't care what people name. I just don't care what they name their kid. Um, I think that maybe he was trying to be unique. I want to name my children very unique names too. I get what you're saying though. You're somebody that has dealt with having your name misspelled and mispronounced your whole life, and it's probably really annoying. And you're probably
And
just
made
really
fun of. You know what I'm saying?
exactly,
It's not a common name. And as soon as people in this,
yeah.
even not in this country, but in this world, like, if it's an uncommon name to where you are, it's kind of like, and I got called so many different things, like, with my name, like,
Mm-hmm.
just people mispronouncing it and saying different things on purpose. And honestly, like, I didn't let it really bother me that much, but like, I
Mm-hmm.
just like, I can't imagine, like, I also don't agree with, I'm glad that my parents didn't give me a common name. They they kind of gave me a name that can be pronounced in this country, easily enough, because it is almost a common name once it's spelled differently. If it's spelled Celin, then it's fine. People know it's Celine. Oh, okay, great. But like the Selin thing is kind of confusing for people. And just to be funny, but like, just to bring it back to my own experience, like, every first date that I've ever went on, or every first time I met someone that didn't actually know how to say my name in real life, the first thing they would ask me is, how do you pronounce your name? Or like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of just something that like makes me laugh at this point,
Yeah.
because it's just literally my life, and I'm used to it, which is fine. Like, I don't mind it. But again, like, not that powerful queen will be mispronounced, because again, I'm talking about the mispronunciation of my
Mm-hmm.
name and everything. But I just feel like it's unsettling to me that like you would give that name to your child, because it's like, powerful queen, like, who do you think you are? Like, that's just I can't. I don't know, when I heard
Yeah.
that, like, like Elon Musk, he named his child like all these numbers and letters and something like that. Like I didn't even understand that, but it's fine. Once you have money, I guess you could do whatever you want. But again, like you're not really thinking about that child's life and how they're going to grow up. Like they are going to live a life outside of in your home. You're not going to keep your child, you know what I'm saying? Just because you're rich, it doesn't mean your child isn't going to be exposed to the real world. If that's what you want, then okay. But like, again,
Yeah,
the world is harsh, and that could be a lot for one person to handle. And
I think
that's kind of the viewpoint I was looking at it from. But I mean, again, it's everyone's own opinion. You could not care about, you know, who names their child what, or you wouldn't even care. But to me, it was unsettling. It was
no, yeah, I
um,
think I think you bring up a good point. I think you're just empathizing with the child. You come from a place of experience with your name, you know, having that kind of upsetting feeling attached with, you know, your name. And I think it's really, this is exactly why, you know, these conversations are important, because this was something that resonated with you so much that you had a lot to say about it. I think that's very important because someone else is going to relate with you 100%. And me, with someone with a common behind name, like obviously, like I'm not gonna think twice about it because I didn't deal with that struggle of having your not. I mean, I have like some instances where my name is mispronounced as like something like Louise or something like that, but that's like not even like that big of a like. Obviously, there are situations where you're getting made fun of about your name. That's a problem, right? And that's a whole other like conversation. Like that's a really
I
deep
mean, again,
topic. And
and
I
when I
think that I
was
know
growing
but I
up,
agree with you. I agree with some aspects that you're making. Like, yeah, in the future, that definitely could be hard for her. But then again, I also bring it up to the fact that, like, you know, these people, it's like, it's at the end of the day, like, it's their decision. They if they chose to do that, they're gonna see, you know, the repercussions of it if it does end up being negative for them. And hopefully, you know, it doesn't end up being negative for them. But I completely see where you're coming from.
yeah, like, and not to be funny about it, but like I'm just in my head, like as soon as I like saw that and heard that, and like even just now talking about it the whole time, I just imagine like Nick Cannon in his house calling down for his daughter, like powerful queen, like to me, I'm like, oh my god, like if like it just makes me laugh, which is sad, but again, like you just said, it is his child, or him and the who was the girl that he had the baby with, the model, right? Was that the model?
Powerful Queen was Brittany Bell. I don't know who she is. I just know her name
Okay.
is Brittany Bell.
How old is the child now? Do we know?
It says 1-year-old Powerful Queen from the article
Oh,
that I
so this
found.
is
I don't know
recent.
if that's still current. I don't know. I'm not too sure.
Well, I mean, a year ago he named this child Powerful Queen, so I didn't hear much about it then. I just heard this news about Nick Cannon and all his kids recently. I feel like it's coming up more now. People are like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, it's really because so you brought up a great point. It does have to do with his kids. The reason why this is all getting brought up is because he recently did an interview, not an interview, on his show. He was talking about his kids passing and his new kids arrival. And I personally watched the clip and I didn't find a problem with it. I think he has a lot going on, you know, with the death of one of his children and the birth of another. That's a lot to deal with.
Can
And
you just really quickly kind of just explain a little bit of the clip that you actually watched, or
I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember all of it. It was him. It was on his TV show. He just was talking about, you know, I don't want to misquote him. So, but he was just talking about
do you
the
think
his, he
do
was
you
just
think the
talking about
reason that he was having this other child with that same lady, with the same girl, is because of the death of the first child? Was anything
no. So let's back up a few steps. I have a few notes that I was gonna get all the information out real quick. Okay, so he lost his child on his store on his show. He was talking about his child, and he actually knew about this new child before Zen passed away. You know, babies take a long time to,
cook?
be created, cook. Thank you. So, but you know, with all that negative press he was getting, he did apologize, and I quote, he stated, "I misspoke and probably went too much into detail on Monday on his talk show. Expressing my feelings, and it probably felt like I was making some comparatives when talking about the passing of my son Zen, and then also talking about the new child I'm expecting." He stated how he failed to protect the respect the privacy of the mothers of all of his children, and that he didn't need to do that because those are completely two complete separate moments in his life, and they both deserve respect, which I would 100% agree with. Someone might think that he is, completely absurd for having 8 children and whatnot. Again, personally, it's not my life. I try not to worry about things that don't really affect me too much, but I will say that it is concerning when you're thinking about the children and hopefully that they're living a fruitful life. I don't know much about Nick Cannon, but hopefully his children are going to be living a wonderful life and loved all equally, because that's what I care most about. I was raised in a broken home myself, and I know how it feels to be that child that just it's a mess, and I don't want that for those
Mhm.
children. So out of everything that was covered by the news and the blogs, I honestly could care less about it. I have more concern about those children. But I do think it's really good for him to kind of have this moment, for him to analyze 2 separate moments in his life. And I know, Selin, you probably have 1,000 of other thoughts on this topic, but I did want to just quickly kind of ask you the main talking point about this question, which I had thought about, which was basically kind of relating it back to us, which you kind of already have in a sense of with your name and the issues that you have with it. But it was, how do you handle these situations where you have to juggle such negatives? Just an example, obviously, none of us has had children, but like a loss of your
Mm.
child with such positives, in his case, a gain of another. Now, I want to open the question to you first, because I think that, I don't know, I just want to hear what you have to say.
So do you mean in like my own life with a gain and a loss, or what do you mean?
Yeah, so like obviously, like example right now is him. He has to still go through the stages of grief about his child that just passed 2 months ago, but he also has to go through the stages of, happiness of his birth of his new child. So how do you juggle the negatives and the positives, like that? Like how do you?
So that's, I feel like, a question that really nobody can answer. Like, it's not a question that,
Unless
you
you've
know
gone
what I'm
through
saying?
it.
I mean, it is really like, it's whatever life throws at you, honestly. Like in his case, that was what he had to go through at that time. Um, but like just for like a quick, just back to that whole situation with the gain and the loss of the child. I mean, he didn't know that he was gaining that child at that time, but in a way, it
No,
might
he
have been.
did.
Oh, he knew when the baby was dying.
That's what I said. Yeah. So he knew when Zen was passing away, I'm pretty sure I heard him correctly or read an article. He said that he knew what he knew that he was going to be having a child when Zen was, feeling sick.
Oh, well, again, I mean, it's still not an easy thing, but in a way, he might have felt like a little bit of a relief because of that positive. So, like in life, you know what I'm saying? Once you
Mhm.
have something that negatively happens to you, i- it's like when something is gonna when you are expecting something good and you know that it's gonna be great, it's kind of a little bit of a relief. So, in my life, I mean, personally, I just had experienced a death in my
Mhm.
kind of close family. I
Mhm.
was very close to one of my aunts who had just passed away from lung cancer. That was a really, huge negative. Um, but in a way, it was also I watched her kind of live in pain for a while since she got diagnosed with the cancer and went through a couple surgeries and chemo and taking medication, and cancer is not easy. And I mean, like, you hear about cancer and you see people who might have cancer who pass away from cancer, but once you actually see it happening like in front of your eyes and like watching that person like really be in pain for a long time and like just they can't seem to just have a good day or just can't get relief, it's like heartbreaking. I don't wish that on literally anybody. And like even when it's like, that person is such a good person, like that they don't deserve that. Like this is just life. Like stuff like this happens to people every day. You know what I'm saying? And it's great that she's not in pain anymore, but obviously like I wish she was here, but that was life, and watching her in pain was probably one of the hardest things.
Mhm.
um and I think it's probably one of the hardest things that anybody would have to do is watching a family member die from, just watching them die in pain. Like it's
Mhm.
really, and a lot of it's not that it's not common, because a lot of families do go through this, but then there's a part of you that it's like, okay, well, now she's resting and she's not in pain. Yeah, it's sad that she's not here, but she's not in pain. I wouldn't call that a positive thing, like, to be honest, but I would call that almost a little bit of like like
seeing the silver lining.
exactly, literally, exactly, you took the words out of yes, literally, that's what I would call it. But I mean, everyone has their own experiences, and different things happen to different people. Honestly, I would probably, if I was just to bring it back, if I was in like Nick Cannon's situation with the whole losing and everything, I would be devastated because I just lost a 5-month-old. You know what I mean? It's not easy to lose anything in your life, especially a child. That is probably one of the things I would never want to go through, is losing a child, because you're not supposed to, you know what I'm saying, bury your own children. Like, it's not supposed to happen. So, it was probably a little bit of a nice thing that he was expecting another child. And I think if I was in his shoes, I would also be very welcoming for the new child. I would be very happy about that. So, I mean, life goes on, people die, people are born, and that's just that's the way the world works. So
No, I completely agree with you. I agree with almost everything that you said, especially from the start of saying like something like this, you can't really talk about it until you've experienced it. Again, like you said as well, I haven't really had an experience, at least one that I could think of, such like a powerful situation like this one, where I've had a negative and a positive at the same time. Like that's quite crazy timing of it all.
yeah, really.
But I will say, similar to your answer, if I was in a situation like this, I would go and go with the punches, kind of. They knew about this illness for a while, they stated. So kind of knowing the situation at hand, I would just make sure that my child has lived, and I'm sure they did. I have no doubt of it. Nick Cannon seems like a great dad. I haven't, when I was researching for this topic, I haven't heard any negatives about him. So
No, that's another
yes,
thing.
so
Like,
hopefully,
very
that's
present dad. You know what I'm saying?
and like going back to coming, I would just kind of meditate, take time on my own. I take death really weird, different than others. Like I have dealt with death a lot in my life, especially younger. So I'm kind of numb to it at this point. I'm numb to it to the point where I'll talk about it really nonchalantly and I'll make some people emotional without even realizing it, because it's not affecting me, but it's affecting them. You know what I mean? And I have to be really aware of that because I talk about it so casually. And it's a pretty taboo topic, and I think it shouldn't be. I think death is
No,
very
it shouldn't be,
natural,
because I
and
think it's something that literally everybody has
is
to
gonna
die
go
one day.
exactly. And so I have to control myself with that sometimes, but not getting too much off topic. That's how I would handle that. I would just kind of take me time and really process the birth of the new child and give them their moment. Like he mentioned, 2 separate moments in his life that he gave his all for. And I think that's really important. I think that's
Yeah.
really, really important. Timing is very important. I really appreciate time, and it seems like he handled his well. Like I said, I did not agree with the blogs saying that he kind of compared the 2 narratives. I think he's going through a lot, so if he misspoke, that's kind of expected.
100%, because listen, everyone, again, at the end of the day, is human.
Yeah.
People do say things and make mistakes, which is honestly, again, really completely normal, and what he was going through isn't easy. It's actually, not something that, well, it does happen to other families, but in the public eye, like, even when, just to bring it back, like I think it was Chrissy Teigen, and I think I'm saying her last name wrong, but she also had lost a child she never actually gave birth to, and she was having a hard time actually getting pregnant. So like, these are very sensitive topics for families and couples and everything, because like the infertility rate is like really high today. So I feel like when people do actually get pregnant, it is something to be very like really happy about. And then when you lose that child, it's devastating. But to, I think, end the conversation about Nick Cannon, there will probably be no more powerful queens and all that other good stuff, no other siblings. I think he did say he was going to be celibate.
I didn't look much into that aspect of him, but if he is, whatever he feels he needs to do for the support of his baby mothers and his children, I think he should take action in. And if that is taking action in celibacy,
But I
then
was
go
like,
off.
go off. But I was a little confused because I thought he was okay with having all those kids. But then I think he himself thought it was getting out of hand, which then I think this is what brought it up more, because when he was talking about the celibacy thing, I genuinely was confused because I thought he was okay with having all those kids. So what would be the problem with having all the sex? I don't know. Next.
I completely agree with you. Now, to get on to our next Twilight, I forgot what it's called already. It's Twilight topic. I think it's called. Is that what it's called? Oh, Twilight Time topic. This is the last topic of this, so we're gonna kind of speed through it. Basically, recently, a few weeks ago, I believe it was a few weeks ago, at least it feels like that by now, Taylor Swift stood her ground when she was being accused of not writing her own songs. Now, we have seen this happen multiple times to women in the music industry, most notably, at least for me, that I've seen it in, is Nicki Minaj, the rap industry, where most times it's assumed that women could not write raps. So Nicki, along with Taylor, wants people to know that she writes her own music. Taylor responded to a tweet from Damon Albarn, which I had which I had no idea who he was, but it turns out he was the band leader of Blur and Gorillaz, which I've heard of Gorillaz before. But he stated, and I guess I'm assuming it's an interview where someone said Billie Eilish. He responded, "I think she's exceptional." And then they asked Taylor Swift, and he responded with, "She doesn't write her own songs." Now, the way he compared these two artists was completely unnecessary, and the comparative narrative always pushed on women is a completely different conversation for another day. But to put it in simple terms, at least from the way I look at it, Taylor's songs are mostly relationship based. So I don't even understand why he would think that she doesn't write her own songs. And I really appreciate that I really appreciate that she stood her ground and called her out. She did say that at one point she was a big fan of him, and she was really disappointed in him, basically, and that how damaging his statement could be on her, which is very, very true. Before we get into the question about this topic, I wanted to know your thoughts on this, Selin, real quick.
Okay, real quick. I mean, like, I was a little confused when he said exceptional to Billie Eilish, and then to Taylor Swift, oh, she doesn't write her own songs. Billie Eilish doesn't write her own songs either. Her brother does.
Ooh.
So, I mean,
have we fact checked that?
You should fact check that for me right now.
I was gonna say, because I don't know.
He is a musician as well, and he has helped her, or not even helped, wrote some of the songs that she actually sings. Even if he didn't write all of them, he has influenced most of them. So, I mean, for Taylor Swift to be accused of not writing her own music, I think is absurd, because honestly, they are from her personal experiences. And so what? Who cares if they're getting help writing their freaking music? Like, why is that a big deal?
So
Like,
I just want to interject here. According to express.co.uk, they state for the most part she writes her own music, but honestly, writing music, at least for me, is important. And it's important I don't want to cut you off of your thought process, but I just want to like interject here because you mentioned how she may not write her own music or her brother helps her. I know her brother is like a producer for her, and I know it's like a big thing. And there are a lot of conversations that could be talked about writing in the music industry, because then it's like, how many people do you consider to be a writer? If we're in a room full of people and people start throwing out words, do you give them the writing credit? Do you just take it and go? Like, it's very complicated in that aspect, because it's like, how much have you written, right? That's like the real question at the end of the day then. For me, at least, because you asked the question, like, why does it matter? At least for me, and the way that I was raised, listening and appreciating music, and especially rap in particular, which is a completely separate category from Taylor Swift.
yeah.
But specifically in the rap community, like, you write what you are about. Rap was a community started from, I don't want to get too deep into it because I don't know a lot about it, and right, I don't want to misspeak here, but most times rappers that wrote their raps wrote what they were about, right? They weren't out here making up stories. So that's why it's important over there. Now, for Taylor's situation, I can understand why it's important for her, because she has already had her music tried to be taken from her. So to have her kind of credibility of that, the fact that she also wrote these songs taken away from her, I would see that as a big issue. Now, I understand what you're saying of why is it a big deal? Again, it just goes back to, let's say you painted something and I took that painting and I sold it for $1 million. Because I sold it and I was the face that was there when people bought it, they thought that I painted it. How would you feel if you did all that work and then someone was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's that kind of thing. Like, you put in all that work I think that's why it's seen as so big. I don't know if that makes
I get what
sense.
you're saying, but then don't be a songwriter. You know what I'm saying? Most people, or don't be an artist, because if you want to make money at the end of the day, then you're not really going to care who's talking about you if you're getting paid. In my not experience, because I don't paint, but in my opinion, if I'm getting a check for my work, then I'm good. I don't need the recognition unless people want to feel that recognition. Then if you don't have the voice to sing, but you can write this, you know what I'm saying? Or if you can paint but aren't able to actually sell your own artwork yourself, like I feel like that's the dynamic duo right there. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the person paints it, the other person sells it, or that person writes it, the other person sings it. Like at the end of the day, like each party is getting hopefully paid, because I know songwriters do get paid a good amount of money, especially if it's people like Beyonce, Nicki Minaj, like people like that. Not saying that they do that, but if they did, the people that are writing are getting paid. They're getting a check regardless. So in my opinion, if I'm getting paid, I don't know if I would really care about the recognition, because yeah, my name's not going to be on the album cover or not the single cover or anything like that. But it might be, if you search up the song on Google, you might see that, okay, that was me who wrote it, or hey, okay, that was me who drew it, painted it, whatever.
Now, how would you feel if you did write it? So your name, okay, so let's flip it a little bit. Now let's just do this. You're Taylor
Okay.
Swift. You're Taylor
I'm
Swift.
Taylor
You're
Swift.
Miss Swift herself.
Oh God.
You've had
Wow.
you've gone through so many bad experiences and dates. You've wrote these songs your whole life. Your name is on the album because you are the artist. You are the creator. Remember, music is an art form. So this music, not, yes, it's entertainment and yes, people make money off of it, but it is also a form of expression. And at the end of the day, it's also people's artwork. So imagine you're going out there, you're singing, and someone says, just even out of their freaking ignorant self, like literally this statement makes no sense. Like, why even say this? There was no, like, anyway,
No,
yeah,
listen, I think you misunderstood me. I completely don't think that if she wrote her own music, not saying that if she didn't write all of her music, or if she did write all of her music, then obviously people shouldn't be putting out false narratives. They shouldn't be
okay.
saying, you shouldn't have
Yeah, I was
said,
a little confused.
you shouldn't have said that, oh, you didn't write your, but I'm saying if she did use somebody, if I was the songwriter, if I was the person that actually wrote a song, like just not even in Taylor Swift's, that situation, like songwriters do get paid good and some of them don't really care about the recognition. So I feel like that
Yes.
person who had said that, I think is kind of misinterpreting the whole, oh, people who write songs for other people thing. Like I feel like when that happens, it's a duo thing. Like it's literally a dynamic duo. Like I like to think of it like that. But
Mhm.
hey, I really do think Taylor Swift did write most of her music because it does come from her own personal experience. And that woman has been through a lot. She's been made fun of. She's been stepped all over. People in the industry have thought of her as a joke, but literally, Miss Girl is doing the damn thing, and her music's actually pretty good. So, I mean, I really personally think it is from her personal experience that she writes from. And you are right, it is an art form. And I feel like that's why some of her music is so good. Even her old music, oh my God. Like people like that, even Demi Lovato, like people like literally write from literally their hearts, like what they go through. So, I mean, I don't know. I just don't think those types of comments are necessary. Not today. Not any day. That was,
100%. Yeah, I completely agree with you. And we
but I also
touched,
respect songwriters, and I do respect people who do the work, but aren't the face of the work. I
of course.
completely respect that, because I think that is, if they don't care about getting recognized and they're actually, giving something that they put all their heart and soul into just for someone else to sing, I think that's like so much more rewarding for them. Like to say, I
Yeah,
wrote
I
this
think
song and Rihanna sang it, or whatever it may,
mhm.
whomever it may be. To me, I think that would be okay with me.
I think if it's yeah, I think you're on this, I think you're comparing, like, you're not comparing, but you're looking at two different situations. Like one situation, yeah, I mean, it's great. Like you have, the singer, the songwriter duo. That's fantastic. Nobody's getting discredited in that. In this specific situation though, and which you mentioned you agree with, and it's a horrible situation, and I'm like completely with you on that. Um, yeah, she was just getting discredited completely, and like you said, it's really messed up, and there's no day that this should be happening to her. And I
Not
really
to
think it's
anybody.
upsetting. To anybody, exactly, to anybody, and what man or woman, but this tends to happen to women more than men, and that kind of leads up to the main question I have, which is, why are we inclined to believe a woman has not created her career single-handedly? And why do we assume that she needs help? I think that this question is very deep, and we don't have a lot of time to go in too deep to it, because we do have a main topic that I want to kind of touch on a little bit, but I do want to kind of put a little seed out there and just say, look at, and everybody says this, and Selin, I'm sure you've heard this. Look at a lot of the most powerful men in the world and look at the women who are in their shadows, which they shouldn't be, but they are just because of the way society is. Tell me which one has more of a kind of strong-willed, more of a head on their shoulders. Every strong man, I forgot the exact setting, but it's like basically every strong man has a more powerful woman behind him or something like that. You get what I'm trying to say?
Well, I mean, no, I don't really know what you mean.
Like every, like, oh my goodness, I have to look up the quote, but it's basically like,
Well,
you can't have
okay,
a, it's like, okay, it's like Doja Cat, what she said, you can't have a god without, it's like, you can't have a man without a goddesses. Like, women create man. Like, for people to think that women cannot single-handedly create their career is absurd, because a lot of the most powerful men you see out there are created because of a woman that has honestly been more powerful than them. I don't know. That's my opinion, I guess.
okay, so obviously as a woman, I
Yeah,
really
you're a woman. You can speak on this.
thank you. I am a woman. I can't really feel anything but kind of, I don't want to say hate because hate's a big word, but I hate the fact that people think that women can't do things on their own. Because there are a lot of different types of women in this world. Um, there are, you know what I'm saying? Not every woman is just a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like they can have
Mhm,
male tendencies, or able to do things that men can do. I mean, like,
mhm,
not to be funny, but women, like, you know what I'm saying, like, this is funny to bring up a topic like this, but building furniture, right? Like, I
mhm.
feel like men think that that's something that women can't do, like build furniture, like buy something from IKEA and build it. But damn straight, damn well I will be on the floor with that instruction if I had to, you know what I'm saying, if I
Listen.
didn't have, you know what I mean. Really, like, women can do things obviously on their own, and honestly I think the women that are in the industry today are setting something straight, which, like, I love, because we've seen a lot more feminism coming out. We've seen a lot more people being, even men feeling like, oh, okay, like I shouldn't, I women do have rights, like, even, you know what I'm saying, like, I come from a very Middle Eastern family who I don't have the same beliefs when it comes to stuff like that. So, like, they do still believe that women should be like the head of the like in the house, working, cleaning, and then the man should go out and make the money, yada yada yada, right? I didn't grow up like that personally, but I do have people in my family that are like that.
Mhm,
I grew up in a household that was a little different. My mom and father did work. My mom has instilled a different perspective for me, which I appreciate. Like, she is a working woman. She does bring home good money just as much as my dad does. And I honestly think that is great. I don't see that in a lot of families, but I do see it in mine, and I appreciate it. And I know growing up that that was going to be me when I was older. Like, I wasn't going
period.
to let anyone tell me that I couldn't do something because I'm a woman, or that I couldn't be something. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
If I want to be, if a woman wants to be somewhere or do something, and she has all the right to do that. And, like, I love that I grew up with that perspective, and and then, like, then I would go on the internet, and I would see all these things, and it's like, and some people still think this way, which to me is freaking crazy, because no one, I just don't think that's right. Like, I just don't think that women, as soon as they have kids, they need to be home. They need to be taking care of the kids. I mean, there are, not to be funny, like, not to be like, oh, but, like, there are, babysitting services, nanny services, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There are grandparents that are willing to look after children. I mean, yeah,
Mhm,
that's how I grew up. My parents were both working, like I just said.
mhm.
So, to me, bringing it back, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I feel like this topic is just so sensitive also, not
Yeah, no,
just for me
100%.
as a woman, but I think it's very sensitive for a lot of women. Like,
Mhm.
I I don't want to be at home. I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom. I want to be working just as much as my husband or whoever it may be that I'm with at the time, my partner. It needs to be equal. And I 100% like, not even like, you know, my partner needs to be paying for everything. I also believe that that should be 50-50. We both need to be bringing in and doing the same amount of work. And I don't think I could ever be in a relationship with someone who doesn't see that way. Or I don't think I could even, not even relationship, I don't think I could even have conversations with someone who doesn't think like that. Because to me, yeah, we all have differences and different opinions, but that is absurd. Just because of my gender or just because of anyone's gender doesn't mean that they're lesser than you. So
I completely agree with you. And
I mean, how
you
can
know,
you disagree with me, please?
I'm dead. Listen, people do. Okay.
Well, not on this
But,
topic.
I
Not on this.
mean,
Well, no, people. You're right. No,
yeah,
people.
I mean,
That's why we're here today.
I think it's important to be aware that like there are some women that do like that more traditional lifestyle, and I salute them
Okay.
if they want to live that life. Go do your thing. You have that right, and I more power to you. If you're able to survive and you know live that life that you want to live,
I
it's important
guess.
that you live your life that you want to live. But I think it's important to not force that lifestyle on people, and that is something that is like very upsetting to me. I'm a
It's sick.
very exactly. I'm a very proud feminist. I will scream to the top of the heavens that I'm a very proud feminist. When I say I'm a feminist, I am the definition of a feminist, which is wanting equality for the sexes. I'm not a aggressive feminist that's like doing crazy things like that. I've heard you know, some people like to generalize people, and you know, you say you're a feminist and people automatically think, oh, you want all men to die, and it's like, no, calm
No,
down.
that's not what it
That's
is.
not the definition of feminism. Okay, feminism is the equality of the sexes, so that's what I believe in, and that's what I would always and will always fight for. And my mother and me don't have the best relationship, but I can tell you 100% she was a single parent for most of her life, and she worked hard. She was always working,
Respect.
and when she wasn't working, she was looking for something to do to get where she needed to get. She was always making sure that even when times weren't the best, I can say that she always made sure we were safe, as much as we could be.
Mhm.
I don't want to get too into it, but basically she did her stuff. She was a single mom, and I give her so much power for that. And you know, to kind of wrap up this conversation, you know, why are we inclined to believe women hasn't created their career single-handedly? I'm not too sure. Stereotypes, generalizations, history, traditions, you name it. It's all of
I
that.
guess I didn't answer the question. I just kind
No,
of
you
talked.
did. You did. No, you did. You did. You did. You did. You did. No, you did. You 100% did, because you showed that, you know, going back to generations, like it's just clear. Generations, as we get older and older, we evolve and we change our perspectives and we grow. And I think this was just one thing that we need to grow out of. We need to grow out of this mindset that women
And
are to
I really
women
think
get to
we are.
decide what they want to do.
Exactly. And I think that we really are growing out of this because the women today that are having like having little girl like families today that are having like little girls and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
the women that are in those families, like the mom figures,
Mm-hmm.
are women like me. You know what I'm saying? I would never raise my daughter to think, and I would never let my husband or my partner, I would never let them raise my daughter to think that they can't do whatever the they want. Oh, can I curse? I would.
I could bleep it out. I could
You
bleep it
better.
out.
Yeah, I wouldn't let that happen. So, and I don't think a
Yeah.
lot of other women today would either. So I feel like we're slowly, hopefully, going in the right path with all this. But I think that, like you said, literally a feminist, equality, no matter what your gender is. And I think that, period. That's literally it. Done.
Yeah. I'm done.
Like, what else can you say about that? Like, really,
No, really. Yeah.
we're not even talking about like, yeah, it's gender rights, but listen, like, I am a human just as much as you. What does my
Mhm.
gender have to do with it? These are human rights at this point. Like, please,
Exactly. 100%.
I have a
But
right to.
I also think it's important to recognize the power that women have. That's like when people say, like be blind to like race. And I don't think we should be blind to women, like gender. That's why I don't want to get into this topic because it's very deep.
We
I
just
really
do.
don't want to get
Just do this.
I don't want to get into this. We could do another episode on this topic, but because we're getting pretty long with this, but I it's important to recognize what is clearly there. Women have set the precedent for a lot of things we have in society. So if someone is claiming their womanhood and claiming they are a woman, gender, whatever gender, sexuality, whatever that has to do with it, if you're claiming you're a woman, I'm going to treat you with the utmost respect. And it has nothing to do based on your gender. It has it is based on your experience in life. Women have
Yeah.
gone through so much history, like 19 like 1700, whatever, however long ago. They have gone through so much and still are. So I think, just like race, it's important to not be ignorant to the fact that it exists. Women exist, Hispanic people exist, Turkish people exist, white people exist, Black people exist, and we have all gone through different things, and we all bring different experiences to the table. And so that's why I'm like, very passionate about females and women's empowerment so much, because they have gone through so much. And that's why, I don't know, I was kind of adding on to what you were saying. Like, it's just really
No.
important to kind of realize that there is a different experience they bring to the table.
100%. And I really do believe that it's only gonna hopefully get better from here, because I feel like there are a lot of people who are speaking out about this certain topic, which I very much appreciate. Like you said, I'm not an aggressive feminist, obviously, but I think as a woman, how can you not? I mean, there are some women that aren't feminists at all, that they think that they should be belittled and everything like that, which is, I mean, that's if you want to feel like that, but I mean, don't ever put me in that category, because I don't
100%.
ever want to be belittled just because of my gender, because it's not fair, and that is period. That is it.
Yeah.
It's just not fair, and we need to live in more of a fair world. And let's not even get into other countries with the whole woman situations. It's
Mhm.
disgusting. It's just ridiculous. I mean, we can only focus on where we live, but if we really talked about other places and what other women have to go through, like
It
being,
gets kind of crazy.
it's crazy, like getting acid thrown on you, and
Mhm.
and you know what I'm saying, taking your babies away, like things like that happen in other countries, and it's
100%.
sad. And it shouldn't,
Yeah,
it's crazy. But that's,
I
we can only really
agree.
focus on where we live and what's going on where we live. And I just don't believe that. So.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I really do want to talk about that topic more in depth, because I really am passionate about it. And I could tell, Celine, you are. And
I
obviously,
mean, I
like,
think we both really have been. We've had conversations like this before.
100%. And I think that it's always important to have someone that's living through that experience kind of talk about it. And, I'm a male Puerto Rican. I claim he, him, I am a male Puerto Rican. And Celine is, as she stated, she is a woman from Turkey. She's a Turkish woman.
I'm a
So I
Turkish
think,
American woman, first generation, baby.
period. We can only speak 100% with confidence from our own experiences, and the fact that we have a woman on the panel to talk about these
Oh
experiences.
yes, Miss Girl, and I'm ready to play.
I
Don't mess.
love
Sorry,
that.
don't mess with me, because we're here and we're ready to play. Listen, this is it. This is the world we live in. Okay,
Mhm.
and it changes all the
Mhm.
time, all
100%.
the time, all the time.
Yeah.
But we still need to know. We still need to understand that certain things can change.
Yeah.
Right. Honestly, I don't know where I was going with that, but basically
You're
what I
good.
was trying to say is that we live in a world that changes daily. But I think that the whole idea of women becoming equal in this country should not change. That should be a topic until that it's resonated and that people understand that. It should be a topic that we always talk about. And I really don't care.
Exactly.
I will talk about it. I mean, I
And we
won't
can
go
go
out.
even deeper and talk
I
about
mean,
the
please.
mistreatment of Black women compared to white women, but I'm not going to go there today.
That's a whole nother topic.
That's a
That's a
whole
whole
other
nother topic.
conversation.
So, I mean, we're just talking about women in general. And, obviously,
Yeah,
when
of
we say
course,
women,
of
I'm thinking
course.
about every woman,
Of
literally, like
course.
different
Yeah.
countries. Like, I'm thinking about every type of woman, every type of woman, every type of woman,
No,
no
yeah,
matter.
100%.
And it's just, this topic, I've always had.
I
issues.
love your passion. It's great. No, I love it. It's honestly, it grabs people's attention, which kind of transitioning into our main topic of the episode today with the title Attention Grabber. Now, this topic is, I think about it all the time, honestly. It just really boggles my mind. So let's get into this. This topic came to my mind because I don't know about you, Selin, but I've noticed me, myself, and I, quote Beyonce, that I have been getting a very bad attention span lately. Like my attention on things are so small. That sentence made no sense. It's so small.
Mhm.
And it's getting worse and worse as I get older and older. And I just notice myself always grabbing for my phone when I'm bored for that mental stimulation and losing my sense of imagination. My imagination used to be so vivid. I would literally like be able to create a landscape right in front of my eyes. And now it's like I need to grab my phone the 2 seconds that I'm not doing anything. Um, I'm sure you could agree, Celine. Maybe not. Maybe you could enlighten me.
Um, I mean, so in our society, I feel like today, I mean, you can't really go anywhere without your phone, right?
No, no, I mean, yeah, basically you need a phone to even have a job. Before you used to be able to have a job to get a phone. Now, if you don't have a phone, you basically can't have a job. Like they're gonna want to contact you some way. You need some sort of
Mhm.
connection to Wi-Fi for that connection. And I mean, it's very, clear in that. Every single Celine, you're new here, but every single conversation that we talk about, I like to bring up an article that kind of talks about it a little bit more in depth and kind of gets the conversation rolling. So the article that I'm introducing today from New York Times is "Why Can't We Pay Attention Anymore" by Kathy O'Neill. She discusses books like Stolen Focus and The Loop, which all involve a constant pattern of humans losing their focus due to technology. Now, it does, the article offers like a contrast of things, of this conversation, because it does state how it's plausible that younger people who are more savvier and have the ability to focus better under extremely distracting conditions because of our tendencies to kind of like zone out and kind of like space out. But kind of skipping over that point real quickly, because that point kind of confuses me, but it was offered in the article and I thought it was an interesting point. But basically, the author states how companies themselves have been the ones really pushing these bad habits on us. Um, a book titled Hooked: How to Build Habit Forming Products literally, Celine, hear this, it literally details how to create products that will hook customers in, and how to make products more addictive and habit forming. This goes hand in hand with what you were just saying about how like you were just talking about like the phones and like how you can't go anywhere without a phone because it's literally built in the system. Like people are writing books about this stuff, like how to create these negative addictive personality traits in us. I think it's crazy. um it also discusses how loss of sleep can attribute to this, and with COVID and the pandemic and the stress, that could be something that kind of attributed to kind of building that bad habit of loss of an attention span. But what I want to focus on is corporate America trying to attack us, because this isn't the first time
Oh,
corporate America has tried to attack us.
whoa.
um so I'm going to propose a few questions. I do want to hear your thoughts on kind of the gist of this article, though, Celine. But the 4 questions that I'm going to ask are: what are some mind-numbing actions we find ourselves doing? Where do we see humans' attention spans within the next 20 years? What are some ways we could fight off the lack of attention? And then kind of a retrospective, or rather, I guess, introspective question that I'll ask at the
Whoa, what a
end.
play on words.
But real quick, what did you think about the article? Isn't that so interesting?
Honestly, it's very interesting, but it's also very kind of, I'm not surprised type of
Yeah.
vibe I'm getting. Just because it's obvious, like the phones are with us literally 24/7. You know what I'm saying? My phone is always next to me. I'm guilty of that always. The whole attention span thing. It's funny that you actually brought this up and that this is the topic that we are talking about, because I've recently found myself feeling like I can't pay attention. And I completely agree with the article that they brought up COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
I cannot stress this enough, because I was thinking this myself the other day, because of going online, like having our school online and just becoming remote for most things and being home and being able to just kind of grab my phone whenever I wanted. Like we live more in a world now that phones are being like accepted. Like before when phones came out, I remember when I was in high school, I couldn't have it out. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I would either have to, they made a rule, you'd have to put it in your locker, or you'd have to keep it in your book bag. You wouldn't take it out. And if they found you with it, you would get it taken away. Some private schools would actually take it away for the week. There's a
Yeah.
private school that's something that happens at a lot of private schools, but they would literally take it and lock it up in a drawer. Can you do that today?
No way.
No.
There was literally when I would do testing, they would have all of our phones and ask us to put it in like a bin, and the teacher would keep it up front with them. I don't even know if they do that anymore because I feel like that's like it's like not even heard of nowadays. Like I don't know.
No.
I agree.
It's something that it's like, you can't take my phone. This is my phone. Like
Mm-hmm.
then it's gonna be like, how am I gonna contact somebody if something happens? Like, what am I gonna do? Like a couple years ago, okay, but like now, if you try to do that, there's no absolute way. Like our phones are just becoming more accepted in different life, like in everyday life situations. So like even at work, like there was a rule that we wouldn't be able to take our phone, and you would get in trouble if you were on your phone. But literally, like, I feel like now I can just kind of take my phone out. I can answer a phone call. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not that frowned upon. It's kind of like, oh, you're very unprofessional because you have your phone out right now. You're looking at your phone, you're picking up a phone call. That's very unprofessional. But in today's society, like now we have ways of contacting people.
Mm-hmm.
And
That could be a business call that you're answering. You could be talking to your like it's like very it's like everything is on our
you
phones.
can't. That's the only way. That's the only, it's, I'm sorry, but that's literally the only way. And it's something that I think that I'm okay with. Like I'm okay that I have my phone on me, but I do agree with the attention span. Like I said, I did feel myself even when I'm in class, in school, like doing things for school, homework, like stuff like that. I do find myself getting distracted very easily, and I feel like I can lose attention to certain things that I'm trying to concentrate on. I haven't done a good study session in a really long time. I'll take breaks to look at my phone. You know what I'm saying? Going on TikTok, stuff like that, Instagram,
Mhm.
like
Yes, same.
it's texting, whatever it may be. Like I need to always be stimulated in some type of way. And I know that sounds kind of creepy, but that's how I've always looked at it. And I've said this to people and I've had this conversation. It's kind of a way of like, I think of it as like I'm stimulated for those couple of minutes when I'm on my phone, which is sad because I should be getting stimulated other ways by reading or like teaching myself new things.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, it's not the world we live in today, and it's kind of a habit that it's really hard to break. But I do agree 100% with that article, and it's really scary. And it's only, I'm sorry, not gonna, I don't want to say get worse because it's not the worst thing that can happen, but it is only going to get worse. So I mean, just look at the way the kids are growing up today. Like I know I'm talking a mile a minute, but this is a
iPad
very
kids.
this what?
iPad kids.
You've had kids?
No, iPad kids. You know that meme?
Oh, I was like, you've had kids? I said, where? But iPad kids, they're scary. Those little gremlins, I'm out. They do scare me. They do be scaring me, those iPad kids. Like that is also another topic that we can sit here and talk for hours, these iPad kids. But yeah, I mean, oh, and the funny thing is that we're talking about iPad kids, but literally like when I was, and you would know this because you're into psychology and stuff. But there was a couple years ago when all of this stuff started to get out of hand with the phones and iPad kids and all this like internet, social media, right? I was, I think, a freshman in college. And we were having a discussion in one of my classes, and actually like there was a lot of news out at the time that there is an influx. There was a need for therapists and social workers and psychiatrists for children specifically because they're growing up without social skills.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how sad that is?
No, it's very sad, and it's literally there was an experiment that I don't want to interrupt you, but literally it's just adding on to what you're saying. There was an experiment
Go ahead.
conducted, and I don't know all the details. I wish I did, but basically it was an experiment conducted. It was inhumane, so it was done years ago. And basically this guy trapped a bunch of kids in a room with no social contact, and guess what happened to those kids? They all died.
Wait.
Because yeah.
Wait.
Let me look this up real quick.
Wait. Why aren't more people talking about this?
Well, I mean, it's an experiment done from the 1970s and like the 1700s when like psychologists would literally pump you with drugs to see what happened. Like it wasn't a very ethical time in
Yeah, but again, like
psychology.
the brain, the brain doesn't change. Like this is something that could still happen to people today if they were to, quote unquote,
Ah,
experiment on
the
kids.
forbidden experiment.
Oh my
And
God.
why is it forbidden? Well, because everyone freaking dies.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, yeah, it's like it's a crazy world we're living in. And like I said, like you could hear my shock when I was reading the article and read about that book that was created literally to create mind-numbing products for customers. Like that's insane.
That's
But speaking of mind-numbing actions, you kind of touched on some of them. TikTok, your phone. Would you say those are your main kind of like mind-numbing activities you find yourself doing when you are kind of losing attention?
110%.
I would say literally, I don't have a TikTok because I know if I did, I would be crazy on it because I'm already crazy on Instagram Reels. I'll literally spend
Oh,
an
please.
hour on Instagram Reels or Instagram in general. And it's upsetting because I used to I remember, and it just got really bad this year, like in the past year, because I've had more time, like more downtime. And not really, I've been really busy, but I like the times that I've had downtime, I've had nothing to do but go on my phone, like train rides. I can't do anything else but go on my phone. So it became a habit for me to always go on Instagram. So now when I get home off of work, off the train, I literally go in my room and I used to go straight in the shower and then head into bed and like watch maybe a few YouTube videos and go to bed. Now I will literally get home from the dirty, grubby train, sit on my little like stool in my room and just scroll on Instagram for like an hour. And then I'll take a shower at like 12 o'clock in the morning. It's like that's so bad. I actually
And you
hate
don't even realize yourself, like realize at that
exactly.
moment that you're doing that. And then like right now you're kind of you're talking about how you do that and you're shocked, right?
I'm upset. I'm very disappointed in myself.
Isn't that crazy?
It's yeah, it's upsetting. It's like, and it leads to the next question, which you kind of stated, like, where do you see us, the future of humans' attention spans within the next 20 years? Celine, you mentioned you think it's only going to get worse from here.
I listen, I know it's only getting worse from here because I just literally how I said there needs to be more therapists, more psychiatrists because children are literally struggling, right? And not even just children, not even kids, but like adults are struggling. Like they can't keep some adults don't even know how to have a social interaction, conversation and like that to me is sad. Like it's
Yeah,
just
no,
sad.
it's disappointing, and it's disappointing to see how far we have evolved to almost de-evolve.
It's ridiculous. We're literally going backwards. We're become I saw this thing once. It was like a picture and it's like the caveman and they're like building things and like doing things with their hands and like they're using their brains. Like at like hand-eye coordination is so good for your brain, you know that, right? Like
Hmm.
once, even like I like building something or just you putting your concentration on into one thing, like to get it done.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of hand-eye coordination. That's really good for brain power. Amazing.
Hmm.
And then it's like, okay, today you're sitting on the couch and you're ordering like already made, like already built, like a table or whatever it may be. Like you're ordering delivery, Amazon
Hmm.
Prime, this, that. It is genuinely sad. Like when I saw that picture, I was like, I never really thought of it like that. But then just that visual, just seeing it visually, I was like, that's crazy. And how you just said how we're literally going backwards. I can't even agree. I can't even agree more. Like I've thought about this multiple times and I think about it, but I'm also guilty of it.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna say I f- I'm grateful for the opportunities we have had with technology, and it would be nice to see it in a controlled environment, but I do feel like it's getting to a point where it's like, dang, like it's scary. Like
it's
we're losing ourselves. I feel like
we're
I don't know.
it's becoming ridiculous. I mean, but again, we're all guilty of it and
Exactly.
we can't live without it.
What would you say are some ways that you fight off the lack of attention? I don't know, but you would like, for me, I definitely would have to say reading. When I can, I try to grab a book, and also kind of just being really productive. Like recently taking on this podcast endeavor has taken a lot of my time, and I haven't been on Instagram as much because I've been working on thumbnails or editing down videos or just trying to spend time with my family too. Those are kind of like things that I try to do to try to stay away from my phone, and then also like just completely not touching it. Like this morning was the first morning for a long time that I did not grab my phone first thing when I woke up, because I was like, you know what? I have no reason to grab my phone. Usually I grab my phone in the morning because it's like the only time I can actually look at it without being distracted by other things. But I've been having a little bit more free time. So like I kind of left my phone alone for a good, I would say a good hour, because I was getting ready and stuff like that. Yeah, and that felt really, really nice. So what are some ways that you kind of fight off that lack of attention and that distraction?
So I'm gonna say it's a little difficult to fight it off, but when I feel like just like for me, the easiest way, I think the points that you made are actually great. I think the like not even looking at your phone, not picking it up, just kind of leaving it. Like first thing when you get up, you know what I'm saying? The only times when I first get up that I don't grab my phone is when I'm in a rush, when I have to get up for work or when I have to get up for class. So my mind's not really on my phone,
Mm-hmm.
which I can appreciate and I actually do because I'm like, all right, great. Like I don't have time to grab my phone and look through my phone, so I'm not gonna do it. Like I was guilty
Mm-hmm.
this morning. I sat on my phone in my bed for about an hour when I woke up, and I felt very just really not disgusted with myself, but upset. I was like, I can't believe I just wasted all that time. To
Yeah.
me, it almost feels like a waste of time when I do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a good distraction is just being out. You know what I'm saying? Like getting out, doing whatever it may be, gallivanting, going out to eat. You know, I never grab my phone when I'm at a dinner table unless I have to show something to somebody or when I want to start a topic. You know what I'm saying? Because our phones are a great way to kind of bring certain topics up. Like
Yeah.
I know it's again,
No, I mean, you're making sense.
I mean, it's sad, but again, like our phones do, social media in general does bring up a lot of conversations. I mean, we wouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
really having much to talk about right now if we didn't have that to our advantage. But definitely just out of sight, out of mind is a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
And just being out, like I say, if I'm hanging out with you, I'm not really grabbing my phone as much. You know what I'm saying? If I'm out and about shopping or whatever it may be, I'm stimulated in another way that I don't have to grab my phone.
Yeah, I agree. Me and Selin,
Oh,
if you guys,
cleaning. Oh, when I
yeah,
clean,
cleaning, cleaning too. Yeah, I feel that.
it's like my favorite thing that I just don't pick up my phone. If I'm really in the like cleaning mood,
The
which is
zone.
if I'm in the zone, if I'm cleaning and I'm doing
We're
things,
in auto zone.
I'm in auto zone. I'm getting to work when I'm cleaning. So I don't grab my phone at all. Like I'll literally will come back to my phone after I've cleaned and I'm completely finished. And it'll be like, I got a missed call, like this, that. I'm like, oh God. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow,
Yeah,
that's how much time went by. I didn't even know. So
yeah. No, I agree, and especially like you said, like me. If you guys haven't yet, I haven't posted it yet. I'm gonna try and post it this week, guys. I promise. On my YouTube channel, me and Celine went to Rhode Island recently, and that was such a great experience. You guys should really watch that video. It was really funny. But besides that, I love adventures and spontaneity, spontaneity.
spontaneous.
There's a like a itty word for spontaneous. I forgot how to say it, but I love being spontaneous. And that trip really just took me out, and it took me away from life. I really enjoyed that trip because it really let me appreciate life. Life is so beautiful, guys. And if you have a moment to really just get out there, freaking me and Selene, why everyone was like, why Rhode Island? Why Rhode Island? Why Rhode Island? Because why not? What? Nobody goes there. So it's holding something so special and sacred that nobody else has really touched on. You know, we can go to LA, we can go to Chicago, we can go to New York, and those are great places to go and great experiences to have. But like when you go somewhere that's just a little bit more quiet, a little bit different, and an experience you've never had before, it's like a whole different, like, it basically what I'm trying to say is it was a great experience that took me away from all the distractions, and
Yeah.
we were really able to focus on that trip and really enjoy our time. I don't know, I just wanted to.
And a place like Rhode Island, like people like that, you know, that we were going into places and that knew that we weren't from around there, they were like kind of almost shocked because after COVID, they really like a small town like that, they
Yeah.
went through they went through a lot. Like they really lost a lot of the businesses, and it was sad to see. But then the people that we were talking to, like it was almost like they really wanted to talk to us, and they
Yeah, they
wanted to
really
know.
did. Oh my God, you're right.
I know.
No, they did.
Isn't that crazy?
No, it is really crazy because you talk to people here and they're like, okay.
Yeah, to them it was almost abnormal. They've been so out of touch with it for a while, and I felt like it was so sad, like for that. But at the same time, I was just like, wow, what an experience! Because like I would have never knew what was going on there if I didn't actually go there.
Yeah.
And to me, adventuring and going different places gives you a whole nother perspective. If you haven't traveled outside of the country or outside of even your little state that you're in, you really don't know what's out there. And honestly, all you have to believe in is when you get on your phone and you go on Twitter, or you go on whatever, and you see what people are saying. You've actually never saw what people are saying. And I feel like that's a disconnect. And to me, I appreciate it. I didn't want to go to Rhode Island, guys. I was like, oh,
It was
please, the whole trip, we had to leave early. It was hours away. But when I was there and when I got home, I really did appreciate it. And Lewis, you could tell I did. I was like, at
no,
one point,
yeah.
please, I was like, all right, I'm glad we actually did this. I was fussy about it, but I'm really glad that you actually took me out of my comfort zone to go. And I was happy that we went, because like I said, you would have never known what was going on down there, and it's crazy.
Up there. It's quite up high. It's quite
Oh,
cold.
not down, up. Sorry. My bad. I'm not geographically correct here.
I'm done. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. The last question that we have on the board today, to kind of wrap everything up, is just like a fun question. Would we prefer to lose all attention grabbing issues or continue on this path to complete submission to them? Now, this isn't really a fun question because that's a pretty
Yeah, I was
large
gonna say fun.
statement, but it's a very introspective question. It gets your mind thinking. We've kind of answered this question throughout this whole entire topic, but just to kind of answer it in a way that kind of gives a more forward answer, for me at least, again, would we prefer to lose all attention grabbing issues or continue on the path to complete submission? It's clear, people are out to get our minds. Our minds are important. Our minds are what make people money. They're making books about trying to control our minds and grab all of our attention. It's clear they're out to get it. And I think that's something that's very sacred to me. And that's another reason why I went to psychology, because I feel our mental health is the most important health aspect in a human being, period. You could lose complete physical health in yourself, but if you can still think and you could still be aware, obviously you're not going to be happy, but you're still going to be alive in a sense. But if you lose your mental health, it's like you're a completely different person. And so that's why I work so hard to protect my own mental health. So to kind of answer the question, I would 100% lose all attention grabbing issues. I will gladly throw my phone down the fire pit. If it was a said and done statement of us losing all attention grabbing items. And this is a very broad statement, but I think everyone kind of understands what I mean when I say this, like cell phones, TVs, etc. We would find a way to work without it. And while it would be a harder way and we'd all have to learn, and obviously I would miss the moments of YouTube that I have.
Oh my God.
I would 100% give that up to enjoy life a little bit more, because I feel like, I don't know, we've been given blessings by electronics and attention grabbing items. I'm not saying we haven't, but I'm not ready to give up my mental health yet. I'm not ready to completely
It's a
submit to
blessing and a
them.
curse.
Exactly.
And
How would you answer that question?
it's hard to answer this question, because like you said, with the mental health, and what I'm saying, it's huge, you know what I'm saying? So to me, I don't want to lose. I mean,
Just say it. Just say it. It's okay.
no, I know. I really don't know how I feel though, because to me, like I like having the distraction, because if I'm ever feeling like, I'm in my head, I'll kind of turn to my phone. I'll turn to the media for some type of distraction, whatever it may be. Maybe reading, a little bit of Us Weekly, or a little bit of People Magazine, whatever. Looking at what other people are doing in their life, or, like going on TikTok, literally, like what I'm saying. browsing through Amazon, whatever it may be, online shopping, like those to me are some things that I do enjoy in my life, and I do find comfort in certain times of the day when I need a distraction. But I don't want to be fully submerged into it. I like that I can have a break from it, that I can control it to an extent. If I had to pick, I would probably not want to give that up. So I wouldn't be able to just throw my phone down a ditch or just give it up completely. Like, you are right though, because we can survive without it, because we have our people, our ancestors have survived without it and they did fine. But technology is really important, not only for like the media purpose and stuff, but also for medicine and for just the evolution of the world. Not evolution, that doesn't sound right. For the progression of the world, I think it is very important, because news is always being spread and people are learning from
Very
others.
true. Allow me to interject real quick. This is a very broad question, and I think that narrowing it down will kind of help us answer the question. Forget all the benefits we get from technology, because remember, this is just, obviously technology is a huge attention grabber, right? But attention grabbers can also be things like, if you're addicted, and I'm not saying this in your case, Selin, so please, I hope you don't get, like, if someone gets addicted to like a relationship, like that is their attention grabber, this one person in their life that keeps stealing them away from living their life, right? Obviously, me and Selin did not talk about these other attention grabbers because they're not our attention grabbers. We
No.
don't get, obviously we have our moments, right? We all have our moments of somebody else taking our attention, but those aren't our main attention grabbers like technology is for us. So somebody else's attention grabber might be that person, or might be that, drug or alcohol. So whatever your attention grabber is, that's kind of what I mean by this question. So forget all the benefits that, in your case and in my case, technology brings, right? Technology is our attention grabber. So forget all the benefits it brings. You still mention how you appreciate your attention getting grabbed from it. So without the benefits it brings in medicine and all this stuff, would you still keep it? Or is it still like you really don't know, because it's still like you want that sometimes?
It's a hard question, because I do want to have my attention grabbed, but not all the time. So it's a very, very hard question.
Yeah.
I would probably have to pick. Then I would, like, oh my God, like, what a hard question. It really is a hard question.
It really makes you think, like.
It's kind of sad that I haven't really thought about this, because I never thought of the idea of not having it. And then either having it or not having it at all, like having to choose between the two of them is very hard. But I probably would pick having it. So I would
completely submit.
I would just submit. I would literally become submissive to my phone.
I mean,
I am your slave.
Was that slave for you?
Slave. I was listening to that song the other day. Yes, Miss Brittany girl.
I'm dead. No, I mean, hey, we all have our poison, right? And
yeah, I don't know. It's sad, but
I mean, it's
what I'm used to.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't.
I'm not good with change.
Yeah, and that's like, some people are, like that, like, and that's, that's okay. It's not like you're killing anybody, and I think that's what's great about us. Like, I love that, during this conversation was amazing, Selin. I have, honestly, me and Selin have great conversations, but I've never had a conversation like this with Selin before, and I'm so appreciative of it. She brought so many enlightening details into the conversations that we had, and she brought so many different aspects into this conversation that I could not bring myself, and so many differing perspectives. Just an example, our last question, she answered completely different than me, and I think that that's so important, because somebody out there is going to resonate with me, someone's going to resonate with you, and I really, really appreciate you for joining me, and I hope that you are willing to come back in the future at some point, because I would love to have you back on.
I mean, I don't have anything else to say, but this was a great conversation. Like, I would definitely love to be a guest star again. Star.
I'm dead. Thank you so much for joining, Selin. Is there any like final words or wrap up that you'd like to kind of say before we kind of end this off? What did you think about your first ever podcast?
I mean, it was very natural. I mean, these are conversations that need to be spoken about, and I feel like the more people speak on it, I think it's great. Conversation is always good to have. It gets every part of, my body was in this conversation. I was, with Nick Cannon and the kids and the feminism, and
Miss
now this
Taylor
whole
Swift.
Miss Taylor Swift, that really got me. Billie Eilish, oh my God. And then the whole thing about the attention grabbing. I mean, like this whole time I wasn't on my phone. So it was, again, this was a great, it was great to have this, and to have more of this would be even greater. So I appreciated it.
Yay.
for
I'm
having me.
so glad you enjoyed your time with us, Selin. We enjoyed you on our show. I hope to see you again in the future. And thank you guys so much for listening to us. This episode is quite longer than my usual episodes, and this is the length of them that I wish I could do every time. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed our conversation. I hope you stick around for future episodes. And yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Um, I really hope you guys enjoyed the ride, and I hope you all had a stellar time.